This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Lockpicking Engineer. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
So, where are you from?
I'm from originally from North Louisiana. I grew up on a cattle farm up there, and now I live in South Louisiana, right outside New Orleans.
So, what was it like growing up on a cattle farm?
Very different than New Orleans. It was lots of work,
I can
lots of
imagine.
work. But yeah, we had about 25 cows that we raised for meat and sold. And so yeah, so did that all the way through college, and then moved down to New Orleans.
Okay, so how'd you wind up getting into lock sport?
So it's kind of a crazy story. So I was in college in engineering, and I was working in this lab, and there was one of the guys that was in the lab, and he was like one of the research assistants as well, and he just would kind of pick locks as a form of meditation. And I'm like, man, that's really cool. That's like some James Bond stuff. And it's like, can you teach me? And he set some time aside and kind of taught me kind of the theory of it. He actually bought my first set of lock picks for me, and kind of got me started from there.
What kind of picks were those?
I really don't know. I'm guessing they were some cheap Chinese lock picks that were kind of super thin, super flimsy, but
Some,
they
eh,
got me where I was going for
something,
a long
something,
time.
something to open the door anyway.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, and then what?
So then, so really didn't do too much picking. I could do a little bit on and off, but I wasn't really dedicated. And like people would lock out, different things like, "Hey, I'm locked out of a house. I know you kind of pick locks. Can you help me?" And sometimes I could, and sometimes I couldn't because I wasn't really that good. So if it wasn't a rake or something like that, I probably wasn't going to get into it.
Hmm.
And then about a year ago, Covert Instruments was having this like competition where they were posting different locks around the country, and they post a picture, and if you could figure out where the picture was and go pick a lock, you'd have to film it and all. Then they'd give you $1,000 gift card, and so
Wow.
that's all. Yeah, it was really cool. So I saw that it was during Mardi Gras. It was pretty close to where I lived. I said, well, a few days went by. I'm like, oh, somebody's gonna pick it, before I get a chance because I was working. And I was like, well, if it's still there on Mardi Gras Day, which is a Tuesday, a lot of companies down here get off for Mardi Gras, which is kind of cool. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down there and see if I can pick this lock. If nothing else, it'll be a cool experience. I'll take a picture and I'll go from there.
Cool.
And so I go over and there's this couple is there. I talked to them and they had been there like a few hours. They've been picking at this lock and talking to them back and forth. Eventually they said, "Hey, you want to give it a shot?" And I said, "Yeah, let me give it a shot. Let's do." I said, "Hey, let's do like a 10-minute on, 10-minute off. That way I'm not hogging the lock. You're not hogging the lock. If somebody else comes in, we'll just, we'll give them the chance." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." And so I get set up. You had to film the thing. So I get my tripod set up and I get to picking, and at like 9 minutes, I was getting ready to say, "Hey, you want to give it a chance?" And like I have the video on YouTube, but yeah, you can hear me say, "Hey, you want to get a chance? You ready?" And like as I'm doing that, I pick the lock. Like I get the it like opens. And so
Well,
lots of yelling and screaming and all
very
that. Like,
cool.
man, we've been here for hours, and you just get it within 10 minutes.
Very
And so
cool.
yeah, that's how that happened.
So what did you do with the gift card?
So I went and bought a bunch of covert instruments picking equipment. So that's kind of the first real nice sets that I've got. And then like I've given done one giveaway and I've used some of the money from that to gift card to pass on to other lot pickers. But yeah, that's
Oh, that's
what
cool.
my main fund for supplying myself. So I've bought all of their new kits. I started with the Echelon or the Genesis, and then the Echelon, and
Yep.
got the Apex. And so I got all that for free, which was really nice.
Very cool. Very cool. So, in your journey in getting going, since you said you just got back into it a year ago, how did you go about getting better?
So it so for I mostly looked at YouTube channels. I really didn't even know where to look. I didn't know, so for a long time I was kind of just stalled out. I didn't even think to look. Oh, there's probably going to be something on YouTube, but ever since then, it's a lot of YouTube and the Discord groups that are around.
Okay, because I know when we talked, you talked about being very competitive, and I know I'm very competitive also. So I thought that was an interesting part of your journey.
Yep, yep.
So you mentioned looking at videos. Who would you say your major influencers were on YouTube?
So my major ones were early on was Lady Locks and Sandman, and then as I started digging more and more into it, there's been Nitvic and Lock Junkie or some of my good friends, and so they're kind of who I talk to most times. But yeah, it all really started. Oh, and then of course Lockpicking Lawyer, uh,
Yeah,
definitely was watching him early on. He's I think a lot of people get their introduction through him.
yeah.
So of course, that's where he was probably the first person I actually saw on YouTube
He's kind of the ambassador of lock sport for a lot of people getting
for
into
sh-
it.
for sure.
So, okay, so you've mentioned a lot of people in the community. How would you say you were introduced into the community then? Because you watch their videos, so I'm assuming you ran into their channels, but you eventually, I would assume, like everybody else, you got into the community. How did that happen for you?
So for me, it really started with it was one of Sandman's videos. He was talking, I think it was Sandman. It was either Sandman or Lady Locks one was talking about the Discord groups, and I didn't even know what Discord was. So I'm like, well, let me start digging into that. And so I started digging into Discord, and then after that, I started kind of looking at the different kind of belt rankings and all of that. And so I needed to start talking to people to do different things and asking for help and eventually needing to send the challenge lock out to get my blue belt. So that's kind of where I got my introduction.
Okay. So, speaking of the belt ranking, you're pursuing the belt ranking system. What belt are you right now?
I'm currently a brown belt.
Okay. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to Brown then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of started this system at green belt. So I was looking at all the different requirements and I had picked a few different blue belt level locks, but didn't make a challenge lock. And at the time I wasn't thinking I was gonna make a challenge lock. Um, but so actually for my green belt submission, I picked two blue belt level locks. I just didn't post a I didn't post a I didn't do a challenge lock. And so a few weeks go by, I'm like, why don't you just do a challenge lock? You have all this stuff to do it.
Yep.
So then I made a challenge lock and I sent that out to Nitvic. And so that was my first challenge lock. And then I kind of rapidly moved up to brown. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. I've picked one red belt level lock, and I'm currently working on my black belt. I'm gonna try to skip the red. Um, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm working on my black belts right now.
Yeah, I kind of thought I might try to pick it back up again here, and probably later this summer. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah,
so
a lot of fun, and it's. Oh, go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's a lot of fun to kind of see all the different locks there are and
Yeah.
how everything's kind of organized.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. I've had to pack up my entire lab, and it's in tons of boxes that just have filled my shop right now until I have another room open in the house to move it all into. So, but so you did a blue belt challenge lock, and you said you
Yep.
sent it to Nick. That what was that block like?
So that was so far all of mine have been rim and mortise style locks. And so I think I did just some spool pins basically both top and bottom. Didn't really know what I was doing, so I just like all right, I have a file, I have these pins and so I'm just going to spin them down to spools. And so that's how I kind of that was my first challenge lock and then ever since then, I've been adding different things, counter milling and some kind of serrations.
Hmm.
I did my first pin and pin. Actually, I've done two pin and pin locks so far, so I'm getting a little bit more advanced now.
Okay. And
But that was my first.
how many more challenge locks have you made since your blue belt one?
So I've made 3 more for a total of 4,
Okay,
and, I'm currently working on my 5th. I have, some
cool.
sneaky things that I'm trying to, incorporate. So I've messed up a few locks trying to get it just right,
Well,
but yeah, I'm
well,
excited. I haven't seen anybody else do what I've done, and so I don't wanna say what I'm doing, but it's something I haven't seen anywhere else. I'll just say that.
well, I'll have to get you up and in for an interview for the Challenge Lock workshop then,
Awesome.
as
That'd
a
be great.
challenge lock maker.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Share some of your secrets on how you do things without sharing what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mind sharing everything but this one thing. And once this gets out into the world, I'll share it. But
Okay.
until it gets picked the first time, I'll keep it a secret.
All right. So, is there anything about yourself that you'd like our audience to know?
Anything about myself. This I'd say what how people describe me is I have lots of hobbies and nobody does hobbies harder than I do. So like I do it all, but one of the coolest things I'd say is I've been to all 7 continents, which I
Oh,
think not
wow.
many people would expect that.
Dang. Okay. Well traveled. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now, did was the original reason you started your YouTube channel for the same reason a lot of people do? They're doing their belt videos, or did you start out with a channel that was being used for something else first?
It was mainly for the belt system, but like I said, I had to post that first video for that competition for covert instruments. And so for that, that's when I started my Instagram channel, and then shortly thereafter, I started my YouTube channel. And one of the big reasons for starting that was well, I started picking a lot more locks. So I don't think I mentioned it, but part of the when I won the competition or won picking that lock, they had mentioned that once all the locks were picked, that they were going to have like a pick off from all 50 states to kind of bring everybody together. And so I that was another thing that got me started and wanting to be because I'm super competitive. I wanted
Yep.
to be much better than I was because, like I said, I was just doing it kind of on and off. And so started doing this and buying a lot more locks and some locks, a lot of the common locks were online, but not all of them. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna start filming this kind of for myself and to show what's going on to other people.
All right. I'm gonna ask you a question going back to the whole Mardi Gras lock that you opened up.
Yeah.
How much do you think it was skill and how much was luck?
I would say it was probably 60% skill, 40% luck.
Okay, that's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
At that point, yeah, because it was basically an American 1100. I'd say it was a
Oh, okay.
50 American 5300, so it had lots of serrated pins in it and some spool pins, um but yeah, that was so there wasn't anything custom about it other than they had some pretty difficult bidding.
Okay.
But I've gone back and it's one of my comfort locks now. I've picked it so many times it just kind of opens up when I walk in the room.
Mhm. Okay. You say hi and it pops. Um,
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
what's the future of your channel gonna be? What do you have planned for it?
I think I'm just gonna continue to pick locks. So always buying new locks. I'm gonna do some reviews whenever I buy things. Um, one of the things I really enjoy doing is started doing like one-handed picking.
Hmm.
So I will put a different lock in a vise and then basically pick it with one hand. So tension with my pinky and then pick uh, with my pointer finger and my thumb. And so that's kind of fun and kind of keeps me on my toes. And so seems to have pretty good kind of engagement from the people on YouTube. So
No,
I'll probably keep doing that. I'm running out of locks that I can pick one handed. There's only
well,
so many out
I was
there.
I was just gonna say now there's an idea for a giveaway thing, subscriber giveaway for your channel.
Yep. So that's
Have people
something I'm
record themselves
I
opening with one hand.
Yeah, so that's something that's in the future is I plan on having two different challenges and either give away a patch or a poker chip, but have a green belt level lock and a blue belt level lock that you pick one-handed.
Mhm.
So I think that'd be cool to get kind of engagement.
Heck
And
yeah.
I've had people reach out with disabilities and they're like, "Man, I really appreciate you showing this.
Mhm.
Like I can't use both hands, and so seeing the techniques that you use really helped me. And I'm like, oh, that's
That
really like motivating.
that's very cool. So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a mechanical engineer, and
Okay.
I design test equipment. So I work in a company that designs lots of custom things, and you can't just buy the test equipment off the shelf. So I work with a team that designs all that testing equipment.
Now, I hate to ask this, but is that what you went to college for?
It's not. So I actually went to college as a nanosystems engineer, which nobody really even knows what that means. And then they're like, oh, just small stuff. So that's basically what it is. So I went to school and I got a degree in nano engineering and a minor in biomed. And I thought I was going to design all these cool biomed robots that go out and, cure cancer, clean your arteries out, or all these
Yeah.
things. And then I saw how much school was going to be involved in that. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done. And so I started applying to different jobs. And so I went that route. And then I went to the oil industry. And then it's just been a wild ride since then.
Okay. So,
Lots of different things.
well, speaking of different things, besides Locksport, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Oh, man. Like I was saying earlier, I have so many. I enjoy cooking a lot. I hunt, I fish, I like to mountain bike, camping, travel the world. I brew beer. Me and some buddies brew beer. Um, so yeah, I do gardening. Um, you name it, and I probably have at least dabbled in it. It's crazy. I like to shoot guns. I've done some competitive shooting, skeet shooting, things like
Man
that.
after my own heart.
Um,
Was just at the range yesterday.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
What were you shooting then yesterday?
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah,
Nice.
we went
I
through
like it.
we went through a few hundred rounds of ammo.
Very nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned though, while we talked when we talked in the pre-interview, something about an obstacle course.
Yeah, so I do like obstacle course racing, so Spartan racing, where they could be anywhere between a 5K and a half marathon, and that's you have to do obstacles, and if you screw up, you have to do 30 burpees. So that'll really mess up with your heart rate, and it's all off road, so you could be running through cow pastures, or you could be running through the desert with cacti, like yep. But I also enjoy doing obstacle course racing just to mix it up.
Very cool. Okay, here's the part that everybody uh, goes through and has to make notes for. But do you have any thank yous that you'd like to give to any other lock sporters out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Sandman's kind of out of the system now, but he really got me into the Discord system, so I appreciate that and kind of got my feet wet. Nick Vitt with he sent me my first challenge lock, which was one that he made, and then that's who I sent my first one off to, and we've kind of talked back and forth ever since then. And then the biggest shout I want to give out to is Lock Junkie. I talk to him probably once a week just on the side. And that dude's just so happy and a great friend, great lock picker. So those are going to be the main people that I want to give shout outs to. But there's so many good people out there. Lady Locks, Vector Potential. I mean, there's so many. I couldn't just. I feel bad even like naming anybody because there's so many good people out there.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot then.
Okay.
Who would you say out there are notable, meaning they've made a major difference in lock sport for the community?
For the community, I would say Lock Picking Lawyer, Lady Locks, and Sandman. To me, those are the three kind of. I know there's others. There's a lot noob out there, and there's a few lock fumblers. There's a few out there, but I'd say those are the three that I think are, in my opinion, most influential. They're the ones kind of talking about, well, not Lock Picking Lawyer, but Sandman and Lady Locks talking about the Discord groups and the Reddit groups and really pushing the community out there. So that's who
Okay.
I would say.
All right. All right. So, last question before we wrap up. What is your
Yeah.
what is your favorite thing about lock sport?
So you gave me this one as a heads up, and it's a hard one. I
Yep.
know a lot of people say community. That's a easy one. That's true. Like the community is awesome,
Yep.
but I think the structure of the belt system and is one of the things I like most. So anybody can start and you can go and see, oh, this is a white belt lock. I should be able to open this all the way up to, this is a black belt lock and I'm probably not going to be able to open this. And so everywhere in between. And so I like the structure and the kind of the hierarchy and how easy it is to kind of to find what you want to pick and kind of figure out where you are. And so you're not wasting money on these $100 locks when what you need is a $5 lock, and you can kind of fill in what you need and kind of easily progress is something I like most of that. I don't know who kind of laid that out. I probably should do that research, but
Hmm.
I really appreciate how that's been laid out.
Yeah, it definitely provides some structure in so even if you're a competitive person, it lays it out in such a way that you compete against yourself.
Yep,
It really,
absolutely.
yeah, it pushes you to go a little bit farther, to do a little bit more. And it's earning the status of the belt is less about bragging rights as much as it is that look, I've made it this far. I've learned this much.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
but
It's kind of a good sounding board for yourself more than anything.
yeah, yeah, and I that's one of the things I liked about it and why I decided to initially start pursuing it. Um, so do you have a final message you'd like to give to our audience before we wrap up?
Um, I have two. One is lock picking related, and one is just life related.
Sure.
So the one that's lock picking related is, and I think Nick Vick even said this on your, I think he said it on your podcast, but really make challenge locks, help the community out. It's kind of a fun way to get out there and meet new people, and so yeah, that's how I've met most of the people I talk to regularly is making challenge locks and sending them out, and then having them send me new ones and stuff they've made. So that's my lock picking one is make challenge locks, help the community out and meet new people. And then one that's not lock sport related is something I've kind of lived my life by is collect memories, not possessions, which kind of conflicts with the lock sport because you want to collect locks
Yeah.
and all of that. But go out and meet new people and experience new things.
I
That'd be my two
Yeah,
messages.
I'd have to agree with that, and it's one of the reasons I try to do these interviews because these are moments in time with different people in the community, and we're trying to capture where they're at and what at what point they came into and they're in lock sport. Because when you listen to some of these older ones, that because this series has been going on for now, I think almost 3 years, but um, even in that shorter period of time, things have changed a lot. So the people come and go, but
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just very the dynamics keep changing, but the core always seems to remain the same. The community is just so tight and so well to do. Everybody's just there for one another, and that's the one thing that I've seen be consistent throughout all that time.
Yep.
So, all
It
right,
really is.
I want to thank you for doing the interview. I had a great time talking with you during the pre-interview. Seems like we have quite a few of our hobbies and interests that are aligned. Not all of them. I can't say I'm much of the fisherman or anything like that, and I don't drink beer, but a lot of the other stuff and the firearms definitely can relate to all that. So, all right.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. And so, look, folks, if you haven't been interviewed yet, come and talk to me. Let's get something set up. If you haven't been interviewed yet, why not? I mean, share your story. And you don't have to be a super accomplished picker to share your story about how you got into it, why you enjoy it, how you enjoy the community, and all those types of things are the same things people want to understand. So come on by and get in touch with me. And with that, I'm going to wrap this up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for listening.